Though Level 5 is mostly known in the West for Professor Layton, the studio has a long history with RPGs. You would think that after developing the critically acclaimed Dragon Quest IX, Level 5 would have a firm grasp on the genre, but White Knight Chronicles 2 suggests otherwise. Rather than learning from the mistakes of the original, Level 5's effort amounts to using a band-aid to fix a broken arm.
Enough charades. It's showtime!
White Knight Chronicles 2 is a tale about a small group of warriors trying to stop an invading empire from taking over the world. The plot is as generic as they come, and the story is frequently put on hold for hours while the action takes center stage. This way of keeping you disconnected from the plot for great lengths works to diminish any interest you'll have in the story. The game also squanders its best asset, your custom avatar, by rendering you a silent protagonist, missing a golden opportunity in the process. It's just one symptom of an overall lack of soul and spirit that'll make it hard for you to care about the world or its inhabitants.
So the insignia Miyu got from her grandfather is a piece of Murius' power?
Okay.
You honor me, father, but it was not my efforts alone which saved Faria. Others came to our aid.
The biggest caveat to consider is that the original White Knight Chronicles is included in the package, which makes sense given how abruptly the sequel begins. While you can opt to jump right into White Knight Chronicles 2, you should only do so if you've played the original, as this one assumes you're familiar with the basics. Otherwise, you'll run the risk of feeling overwhelmed by the lack of a tutorial, as the game throws you right into the action. Still, not many games come with their prequels packed in, so it's hard not to appreciate the gesture. White Knight Chronicles 2 attempts to give equal attention to the single and multiplayer modes, but the split mentality ultimately tears the game apart. The game asks you to complete a lengthy story mode before allowing you to sink your teeth into the online multiplayer content, though there are opportunities to get small samplings of this cooperative quest system earlier on. This poses a major issue because the story mode is far from enjoyable. Very few will stomach it long enough to reach the post-game, which isn't anything special in itself. Moreover, progress made online doesn't carry over to your story characters. The game's relatively substantive avatar customization is unchanged from the original, but your custom character still has no major impact on the direction of the story, and is granted no special abilities or unique skills. As a result, you end up feeling like a silent third wheel that's merely along for the ride.
Sorry, I get excited.
Plenty of games have incorporated MMO-style concepts into their designs to good effect, but White Knight Chronicles 2 misses the mark. It all boils down to traversing vast zones filled with the same 5 or 6 enemies, and battling them over and over to grind for loot and experience. There are extracurricular activities, but none of them really break up the mundane trek. Activities like creating a custom town, tweaking your character's skill tree, or creating custom combos weren't that impressive on the first pass, and White Knight Chronicles 2 fails to improve upon these areas or even mix them up. Rather than provide some refreshing new activities to help with the game's built-in downtime, you're left with boring tasks that are even more of a chore the second time around.
How much farther must we go?
Instead of interpreting the criticisms from the first game as a sign to try something completely new, Level 5 just gave White Knight Chronicles 2 a simple facelift, and the result feels more like an expansion than a genuine sequel.
We will settle this quarrel later.
An end to this.
Though the pace has been sped up a tad over what you saw in the previous game, White Knight Chronicles 2's battles are slow-paced affairs that have the potential to occur often, and there's little variety in general. It's telling of how uninspiring the mechanics are when you're inclined to run from battles more often than engage in them. With little in the way of action outside of combat, you're left with no real incentive to see the adventure through to the end. Except for some of the boss battles, there's little strategy involved in combat. You can customize your commands, create custom combo attacks, and tailor your party members' tactics to your liking, but you're still left with a bare-bones system. There are no group attacks or similar dynamics to mix things up, which holds true even when you summon forth your giant armored knight into combat. Indeed, most fights can be resolved by simply sitting back and spamming a button without even looking at the screen.
You have got to be kidding me!
Many of the previous game's most annoying faults weren't addressed either. Enemies still behave in flawed, aggravating ways like attacking through walls or over insanely long distances. There isn't much variety in the enemy population either, so prepare for countless battles against boars, wasps, and the occasional giant monster. What's most annoying is that there's no immediate indication of an enemy's relative strength, leaving you to do a lot of guesswork, which is quite aggravating in a game that so eagerly apes MMOs. Let's face it, this battle system wasn't entirely appealing the first time around, and given how little it's changed, dealing with it again isn't a very enticing prospect. White Knight Chronicles 2 doesn't shine with stunning art direction or state-of-the-art visuals, but instead stews in mediocrity. The game consists entirely of reused landscapes and locales, with only a handful of original zones in sight. What's there is generic looking at best, and that is even more egregious considering that most of the game's visuals are hand-me-downs. It's the same, unfortunately, for the soundtrack and voice work.
Rocco, return to Ballandor and tell Princess Cisna what has happened.
Aye, aye, sir.
Leonard, let's wrap this up!
It's hard to overlook White Knight Chronicles' flaws the second time around. The subtle improvements don't have a huge impact on the bottom line, and the game lacks the refinements expected of a sequel. If you're looking for an RPG that delivers both a lengthy single-player mode and a comprehensive online component, there are far better choices available.